Vasseur explains Ferrari's plan to sacrifice Leclerc's qualifying for race. Red Bull have now chosen their hottest candidate to replace Yuki Tsunoda after Spanish Grand Prix setback. Our first discussion today. Vasseur explains Ferrari's plan to sacrifice Leclerc's qualifying for race. Ferrari team principal Frédéric Vasseur said Charles Leclerc was at a disadvantage in qualifying as the team chose to prioritize his race strategy with their tire selection. Leclerc will start the Spanish Grand Prix from 7th on the grid. He was 4th fastest after his first run in Q3 but did not do a second run in order to preserve his stock of fresh tires. Ferrari have been consistently stronger in race trim than single-lap pace so far this year. Vasseur said they opted to play to that strength with their strategy for Leclerc. With Charles, we decided from the beginning to be focused on the race, he told the official F1 channel. We saved 2 sets of new mediums for tomorrow, 1 set of softs. For sure you therefore have less tires for the quali. Vasseur said Leclerc made the best he could of his single lap in Q3 and put himself in a good position for the race. It means that we had 1 attempt in Q3. I think the lap time that he did on the first stint was good. It was P4, he was in front of Max Verstappen. I think that it means that it was a good lap. Now, for sure, when you do a choice like this you have pros and cons. We sacrificed a little bit the quali for the race, but with the high temperature and the degradation, we hope that it's a good choice. Leclerc said completing qualifying using fewer tires than his rivals had been a challenge. I think we were one of the only cars that had 4 sets of softs going into quali, which was very difficult already. Then we had to go out in Q1 once again, and that means we sacrificed another soft. So I only had 3 new softs for Q1, Q2 and Q3 against others that had 5 new softs. So it was a bit tricky, but it's the way it is. I hope that our tire choice will pay off for tomorrow because on the other hand tomorrow we have more new than others. Red Bull have now chosen their hottest candidate to replace Yuki Tsunoda after Spanish Grand Prix setback. Red Bull Racing driver Yuki Tsunoda wouldn't have been satisfied with setting a lap time 6/10 off teammate Max Verstappen during qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix. What he might not have expected is that 1 minute and 13.385 seconds would only be good enough for Yuki Tsunoda to start 20th for Sunday's race, a new low point for the Japanese driver since his promotion to race for Red Bull this season. Tsunoda had to watch from the garage as Liam Lawson and Isaac Hadjar reached Q2 and Q3 respectively, while Max Verstappen will start from 3rd on the grid behind the 2 McLaren drivers. It puts Tsunoda in a delicate position as scoring points once again seems out of reach unless he produces his finest performance since joining Red Bull at the Japanese Grand Prix. Helmut Marko has confirmed internal discussions will take place about Tsunoda after his latest setback, and it won't be long until his position within the team is being discussed. Tsunoda's contract runs until the end of the season, meaning every performance counts between now and Abu Dhabi. It appears as though Red Bull are already starting to consider alternatives to the 25-year-old, and one driver has stood out for team principal Christian Horner in recent weeks. Isaac Hadjar now the hottest candidate to replace Yuki Tsunoda at Red Bull. A report from F1 Insider has shared more details about what's happening within the Red Bull team. They point out that Verstappen is at a strategic disadvantage because McLaren, Mercedes and Ferrari all have 2 drivers in the top 7 for the Spanish Grand Prix. There's a strong chance the race in Barcelona will require 2 pit stops, meaning Red Bull could theoretically run Tsunoda as long as possible on his first stint to try and disrupt Verstappen's rivals. However, this would likely completely end his chances of sneaking into the points. The report points out that Tsunoda's gap to Verstappen is now the same as Lawson's when he was driving for Red Bull. They believe that discussions about Tsunoda's future are now ongoing, and Hadjar has established himself as the hottest candidate to take his seat. However, the worry remains that Hadjar might end up being the latest driver in a long line of talented racers who simply can't cope with matching Verstappen. Isaac Hadjar continues to impress at Racing Bulls amid Red Bull talk. For the 5th time in Hadjar's burgeoning Formula One career, the young Frenchman reached Q3 in Spain. He's established himself as the lead driver at Racing Bulls over Lawson and currently sits in the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship. Marko has been impressed by Hadjar but is downplaying how well the 20-year-old is doing to try and relieve some of the pressure on him. Damon Hill says Hadjar has surprised everybody this season after the worst possible start to his F1 career in Australia. Many fans would have been worried about Hadjar's future after his formation lap crash in Melbourne, but he's gone from strength to strength since that moment. It shows how mentally strong he is, and that will be crucial if he does end up alongside Verstappen at some point. The earliest many would have expected that switch to happen would be at the end of the season, but nothing is out of the question when it comes to Red Bull.